Wow. First thing out of the way, visual porn. And I don't mean like that I was watching porn. It's just, this is scenery and visual effects and costumes at its finest. Just so gorgeous. Wow. I think I might cosplay Mrs. Whatsit if I get like $1 bajillion to, afford a fabulous red wig like that. Wowza. I liked this movie. I do agree that it had a couple of problems, but I think they were mostly story related. I know I've read quite a few reviews that have said that there's something about A Wrinkle in Time that's just unadaptable, and given that I haven't read the book, I don't know how true that is, but there is some stuff that it feels like, I don't know, it might be a pacing thing. Maybe the book didn't lend itself well to a 3-act film structure. The performances, wow. Storm Reid did very well. She had some very good subtle acting moments. I think my biggest disappointment with her was that she didn't ugly cry. There's this one scene where she cries, and I am forever disappointed when people do not ugly cry in movies, because people ugly cry, okay? We get all snotty, and we can't talk right, and getting sidetracked. Surprisingly to me, I think the standout for me was actually Mindy Kaling, because her character is Mrs. Who, and she talks primarily in quotations, and so therefore she has more of an acting job, I think, because that means she's relying on other people's words to restructure them and make them work for the situation, and the rest of the time she's just working with facial acting, and it's phenomenal. She's really, really good, especially because I think she gets the more ridiculous outfits out of all three of them. These outfits, though, wow. Anyway, she's great. She's really, really great. Go Mindy Kaling. Reese Witherspoon was kind of the weak link to me. She grated a lot. I don't know if it's the fact that she was bringing maybe a little too much of the perky Elle Woods energy, but she didn't give off quite the same vibe of wisdom and grandeur that Oprah and Mindy Kaling were bringing, and that might have been intentional because this was Mrs. Whatsit's first mission. Again, I don't know if it's a thing carried over from the book or what, but Reese Witherspoon confused me. Let's see what else. Oprah was... Well, let's just say when Oprah tells you to do something, you do it. She commands attention, and it's wonderful because she also just exudes this warmth and majesty, and yes. There was a Hamilton quote in here. And I might have fist pumped a little bit. I won't say which Hamilton quote it is, just because I am... I want people to see this movie, and I want them to... Well, they know when they see it, because Mindy Kaling cites her sources. Always cite your sources. Chris Pine had a lot less to do than I was kind of expecting, but, he's good. I don't think I've ever seen Chris Pine be objectively bad in anything, and maybe that just means I've avoided his bad movies, but I've seen The Princess Diaries too, and I liked it a lot. In my defense, it was just after having had surgery and I was on drugs. That will be an episode for far off in the future. Gugu Mbatha-Raw is lovely in this movie, and I hope she keeps getting work, because I do love her, and I like that Disney is continuing to give her work. They didn't give her enough to do in Beauty and the Beast, and honestly, they didn't give her enough to do in this movie either, but I guess that's probably a problem more to do with the script, and she's lovely, okay, Hollywood? Give her all the work to do, and don't do it in shit like Jupiter Ascending. I'm saying that as somebody who actually liked Jupiter Ascending. She had jack to do in that movie. You're wasting talent. Zach Galifianakis really surprised me. Like, I was not expecting him to be that good, because, it's Zach Galifianakis. I expect him to be, like, stoner jokes or whatever, but no, he's really, like, compelling and interesting, and he has one of the best lines in the movie about how you can do a thing, but you are not letting yourself do the thing. And I think that's, a good lesson for people to carry with them. Like, the biggest thing that's ever standing in your way is you. You're your own worst critic. Thinking back to all my shitty videos already and whether or not I want to redub them. I laugh like that when I get nervous. Levi Miller as Calvin was just there. I mean, they kind of address that he's just there, and I don't know, I don't think the script did enough exploring him as a character, but, I don't mind it too much because, well, I'll be honest, it's kind of nice to have a piece of Wonder Bread not be the focus of the movie. And, God, this is another thing where, like, I can't talk about the importance of stuff for, like, people of color and black girls because, hello, but even I could tell, like, from the framing of Rowan Blanchard's character, Veronica, who's, like, the stereotypical mean girl bully, like, 10 years from now she'd be Regina George or whatever, and, like, you see that pressure to conform to standards that are so against who you are, and how that manifests itself for Meg, those kinds of anxieties, and it's really meaningful, and I liked that. I liked it a lot. I want to talk briefly about, like, the cinematography and the editing. I loved the editing in this. It was very unexpected in places, and that made it feel fresh, but, some of the cinematography kind of threw me off a little, like, there was a bit too much shaky cam for me at the beginning, and, I don't know. I think once they start tessering everywhere and they're in the fantastical world, the camera work gets a lot more solid, but while they're in the real world, it's like this odd thing where they're trying so hard to make the real world seem heightened and magical and whatever, and it's the real world. You need more of a contrast, and you have, like, a visual contrast when they're doing the awesome flying scene. That is stunning, and the camera work is amazing, but, contrast is important. You need to build contrast. Derek McCabe is gonna be playing every creepy child in a horror movie from now on, because damn. Like, the first half of the movie, he's a cross between young Sheldon and that little punk from Fuller House, the sickeningly sweet, precocious one. Okay, fine, I know his name is Max. Yes, I watched Fuller House. Shut up. It's good. Well, it's not good, but it's better than I thought it would be. And it has relevant things that need to be said. Shut up. But yeah. So, like, halfway through the movie, he just starts turning on the creepy because of plot-related things, and that kid brings it. I wouldn't be surprised if, 20 years down the line, assuming that the universe is still here and we're still making James Bond movies, that kid is gonna be a James Bond villain. I'm calling it now. I'm always a little on the fence about stories where cosmic forces are the root of bad things. Like, this one didn't bother me as much because it did show that there was, the potential for light and dark in both people, but it's also kind of, hand-wavy to be like, oh, it's not their fault that they're this way, the dark and the it are influencing them, and it's like, no. Oh, also, the it is voiced by David Oyelowo, so, yeah. Good for you, Ava DuVernay. Make Martin Luther King Jr. the voice of evil. I love it when directors reuse their cast. It lets me make so many more jokes. The minute somebody being hungry comes up, I'm like, oh god. Someone's gonna drink the Kool-Aid. Someone's gonna eat something. And honestly, I thought it was gonna be Calvin, because, like, he's been the mostly useless one throughout most of the plot. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Like, he is useless in that there is very little reason for him to be on this journey. Like, there is not a point for him to be there, and so I thought it was gonna be Calvin, but no. It's Charles Wallace. But yeah, okay, Michael Pena is scary. I'm never going to be able to watch an Ant-Man movie the same way again without being, do not trust Louise! Do not trust him. He's scary. Actually, if somebody wants to try to narrate the entire events of A Wrinkle in Time in a Louise impression, I would so be into that. Like, it'd be so funny. I think this was a good film, and I know a lot of people have disagreed with me, both critics and audiences, but it's a spectacle. It deserves to be seen, and it's got really good messages, and yeah, we need warriors. We need Wakanda warriors, and we need A Wrinkle in Time warriors, and we need more movies like these. So you know what? I'm glad that this movie exists, and Disney, I want you to keep doing this. I want you to keep investing and allowing filmmakers who might not have otherwise gotten a chance to keep making movies like these, because they are good. They are really, really good. Keep doing this. So this is probably going to be my last Rambles video of the month. I have not seen the first Pacific Rim, so I'm not going to be watching Pacific Rim. In the meantime, you can watch my other videos, you can subscribe, you can support me on Patreon. Anything that you can do to support me is great. I've had a huge spike in viewership recently thanks to the Dom, who chose to review me in his inaugural episode of The Dom Reviews You, but I'd like to keep reaching out to more people. I would love to be able to keep doing this show. Thank you, everyone. Bye!